I think we're up and running. Kim can get settled back in. So we had our discussion and executive session with our council. I believe, because things are not finalized, that we would effectively just need to table this motion until a future date. If there are any other questions, comments, can you remind me who made the official motion?
Motion
So it was properly to table it.
approved on Ben, Director Hill.
And who seconded?
Me, Director Pettis.
I move that we take the information from executive session. But I appreciate it.
Do we need to vote for a table? I don't think so.
You do.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, people just said no, they won't make the vote.
All right.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Thank you all. Good session.
All right. So vote to table.
Vote to table.
All right. Dr. Breckenridge Pettit.
Aye.
Dr. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Hobbs.
Aye.
Ms. Lumberg.
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal.
Aye.
Ms. Schiffman.
Aye.
And Mr. Smith.
Okay, moving into action item B, long-term leave request. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Jody. Jan. David, is there anything you need to want to say?
No, I just would repeat what I've said in the past. I don't think this is a good policy. I think it, and as such, just like I've recommended in consistency, that I would not approve the long-term leave requests as per the policy not being the one. And that we have asked CBT to look at this exact policy and make the changes necessary. So this is kind of more of a change there as well. But it's still my same recommendation I made last April.
Any comments from any board members?
I just like to say that we did have a very robust discussion of this at the board meeting.
And it was noted then, and I think it's important to note that this is not about a particular person as much as it is about a policy that is inadequate, doesn't really protect the person applying for the leave, in my opinion, is confusing and could lead to confusion as to who is responsible for what. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously the policy needs to be changed if we would like to use it in the future, because it puts the district at risk to be making decisions with no criteria. That's all.
I would like to add aspirationally that if we can change the policy to where if someone does leave the district, they can come back into the district, not with that limitation of 7 years, 7 steps, but where they were when they left.
I know I was on the losing side of the vote the last time, but I continue to believe that it's a little bit unfair to employees to say you have a bad policy, therefore we're not going to use it at all. The reality is the policy's on the books. It's a negotiated policy, hasn't been changed. To me, this is a perfect example of where and how that policy should be used. I agree it needs to be changed. It's not clear, but to me, that's not a reason not to use it at all, because we're going to change it. I think my heart goes out to Ms. Searle. It looks like the district's done a lot to try and support her. And I would support long-term requests.
Can I ask one question? So the long-term leave request, the way the policy is stated, the employees taking long-term leave without pay,
Yes.
are they still receiving benefits?
It's not clear, is the first answer. Okay.
And so
And then
that's,
when would it terminate? Let's say the long-term leave was for 2 years, so you saw different things, we're not talking about this case. Would you be there? It's not clear, and it's probably anything there's that piece. It doesn't say the person will get their job back, it says the person will be open to get the first available job, which is a different nuance in that space, and so that maybe leads me to believe that no, there wouldn't be benefits in that zone. But I think that's one of the reasons I don't like these policies, and I don't know that you could consistently interpret the same way.
so currently, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it right. By approving the leave request, the benefit to the employee is that for up to a year, she could come back to the district and get a job that she was qualified for at the same pay grade that she's at. But as far as covering salary and benefits, that is not going to be happening.
I'm gonna look to the team and make sure I don't, you guys just started looking at that. What's your time?
I think what you said is accurate. Up to a year, as the policy reads, is after one academic year, shall be considered complete resignation. I think the policy does not speak to any type of benefits.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see anything in here about benefits. I would have to look back and see if there's any precedent. I don't know if there is. I mean, the only times I know it, the leave was denied, so I don't know how I would look back at precedents on that, but I'm sure we'd look into that and see what we'd figure out. But there's nothing in the policy about benefits, it just says on paper.
So,
And when did we, for the long-term leave policy, or for us wanting to change it, the teachers could come back at their pay grade? What is our timeframe for that? Do you remember? Or I know
We've
it
got
goes through
CBT by kind of May
but-
1st to have a recommendations ratified by staff for any of those kind of changes.
And
which
then
includes
we
that.
would go through 3 readings.
If it's gone through ratification, then yes, then you just
So we could potentially have a change to a policy that would guarantee an employee to come back at their pay rate by a May meeting.
May board meeting, which is
So-
maybe 10%.
Guaranteed that's not.
Okay, right, guaranteed, because CBT has to decide that they agree with that as well.
But also that's, they would lose that protection of the long-term leave of being able to come back into the district.
Right. Right.
With the first available, they would have to apply.
They would have to reapply, but if they reapplied and were rehired, they would come back.
So it addresses with some of the concerns people would.
I just wanted to kind of have a time frame so we could potentially hope that if everyone, CBT and board agreed that staff who takes a break, long-term leave or whatever, could come back at their pay rate.
Yeah, there's
We could
nothing like in this
ideally have
case,
potentially that done by May.
there's nothing in this case that precludes that person from applying and asking again. There's no limitation, I guess, nobody spoke of.
so I still don't understand. A teacher on leave of absence who wishes to return to teaching will receive the first vacancy for which he or she is eligible and qualified for blah, 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 blah. Does that mean if we have a job posted and we have 10 amazing applicants, we don't accept the other applicants? It goes directly to that person.
That's correct.
So that's pretty much the only protection of this as far as I can tell, right?
Well,
Right?
I mean, with this case, proposed by David, is the district still paying for health insurance for the teacher and the spouse? So that they can be eligible for
In this
family.
case, under long, the way family interacts, somebody else is going to have to address.
Oh,
So I don't know how that nuance works.
So if someone is on leave with the state-funded family plan, which this individual I understand is a part of, if they're on leave, they send us a request to say, is this person not working? We send back a statement that says yes, and they get a certain percentage of their wages. not charged to the district. Did that answer what you needed to answer?
That's FAMLI.
Yes.
So is
Yes,
leave the
she's
only
used
option
FMLA.
for them to continue to get the percentage of their salary through family, or could we as a district do something different that would allow them to still get benefits through family?
As a board, you are always able to do what you feel is right in any individual case. You can write a memorandum of understanding.
I was under the impression when this was discussed last April from our legal advisors that we were putting the district at risk by having this approved for some and not for others. And I'm wondering if that has been resolved between April and now, and if so, how?
Nothing has changed in my understanding from a lawyer I spoke to today. In that case, it's not about the case qualities, one versus the other. It's just simply saying yes to one, no to another. We have no defense against a capricious complaint statement.
So, maybe you may not have the answer to this. Do we know if Britt has enough sick days where she could take those sick days until we can fix this policy?
So this is where we get into really touchy situations, right? Because I'm not going to discuss about an individual, and this is another thing I hate about this policy, is because why would you make a public decision and public conversation? So if you guys would like, and you would like to go into an executive session, actually talk about an individual's situations, we can do that. We do have that information. I want to let you know that administration and everyone around this case is going to be talking. It's going to be frequent conversation, trying to figure out. That's why we're trying to run through different scenarios as a person struggling with something. And so they submitted that letter yesterday afternoon. It's, just trying to process it as fast as we can to try and get a resolution to the person. We put it on this agenda, also just we already meeting, so we put it on there. If people felt like we need more time to process this or ask more questions, we can push it out to March 12th. It just pressurizes what we do until March 12th scenario.
I would feel a little bit better just personally about pressurizing until March 12th instead of making a big long-term decision. I feel bad about the case, and I feel bad that we haven't prioritized that policy. I know we did the policies in order, but it seems like this case hasn't been a mystery, and to not have prioritized that policy until potentially the May or the end of May, I think sounds very appropriate. Really unlucky at least. I wonder if there's a stopgap measure that we can do that isn't like a permanent precedent that we could figure out in between March 12th and May. I don't know what that would be. That's why I want to personally wait.
I think time is valuable for a staff member and for us. But I think that this might be the stopgap that I was looking for. Potential. So district maintain health benefits to the employee at the district cost through August. So there's still healthcare coverage, and that still allows participation in payment. Because if it's a termination or a resignation, then we'll have
Again, I would just, if you're feeling like it's not clear enough, then we should table it until March, is what you should do. And we should get your questions. so I can get you really detailed answers from a lawyer, but not myself. If it's clear to you, and I think you should move forward, but otherwise, tabling it is your better option.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for this individual and the case itself, but I don't disagree with Matt's comments about kind of where we're at with policies and whatnot, but obviously we addressed that last year we know this was an issue and we started the process in the fall, and what you prioritize or whatnot can be questionable, but I have a really hard time kind of approving something within a policy that we have already kind of, as recently as 2 weeks ago, kind of started the process of adjusting those policies for updates, revocation, whatever terminology you want to use, so that we don't put ourselves in these types of positions and hopefully find better solutions for situations like this. And I hope, and I think we have been working with this individual to continue to support them as best we can.
I don't feel the need to table. I guess this is the nuance of like we have a confidential packet and we're having a public discussion. So
Yes.
what I was trying to get at with my question is there an alternative option to still provide benefits without using long-term policy? I don't know if this information can be
Right. I don't
shared
think we can say
publicly
these things.
or not. So that's kind of where I'm struggling. This is
So I think we can go into executive. We can go into an executive session if you guys would like to look over the details.
And I mean, we have the sheet in this confidential packet.
Right.
But as far as other options, those can't be stated out loud publicly. Okay. That was,
I
That's just
won't feel comfortable. Right?
Okay.
And this is where it just is a sticky thing. I'm not comfortable.
I guess that's
we
the
could go into an
other
executive session.
reason
I
that
can-
very much points to the trickiness of having a long-term leave policy that we evaluate on a case-by-case basis. I feel like seems like very tricky HR material and very much, I mean, I appreciate honestly that Andre read the letter out loud because that kind of shared some situations for the public, but none of us could have done that. And so I feel like that kind of brings up a lot of the issues with this policy. We, as a board, can't be making these confidential decisions where we can't say anything out loud, but we are having to have a public discussion. It's very uncomfortable. And feels like we're gonna cross lines, like I'm trying to be very careful with what I'm saying.
So I think you got two options right now if I'm listening to the conversation well. One is we can go to an executive session, which frees you guys up to just have conversations about the individual. I'm not thrilled with just jumping into that situation because I know we try really hard not to use executive sessions. Two is we could table it, and I can bring you, have a lawyer write up a complete, true kind of interpretation of that. If not that, I think my best recommendation is what I was able to do in April and maintain that exact same consistent recommendation.
David, I think I can ask this question without saying anything, but there is something mentioned. Is this something that certain staff members are aware of as an option to them at this point?
Long-term leave or?
No.
I think we can just talk about
The other thing.
I think we talk about this
The
in
other-
general, not specific. If a staff member runs out of days that they have accrued, then they can stay on, we can maintain them as an employee, and they take leave without pay. A general statement, right? It's optional. At some point, leave without pay is not, you're not able to do the job, right? You're not able to do the work. So at some point, there's a line where you have to say, you have to make a decision. If that employee is not interested in making that decision, the organization has to make that decision. So if we table it, that is what is pressurized, right? Because we can maintain leave without pay scenario. And this is atypical, but has become more common in our district. Almost every single, it's more of a daily, definitely a weekly thing, if people taking leave without pay now. So it's a change in kind of the way the system works. We've never seen this before in this group. And then we've got unique circumstances for each of those, this being one of those unique circumstances. So working really hard to not say anything judgmental. Be careful with my words. So in general, you've got a leave without pay. You can maintain that status of leave without pay, which allows benefits, which allows those things. And at some point, you are not, in our case, at schools, you are not with the kids. You're not doing good work, right? So somewhere in there, in that gray zone, is a thing where we all work hard to cover that space. And somewhere in that gray zone is we have to separate and let that person do what they need to do with their life so the organization moves forward. That's in general. So if we were to table this specific thing, that's what the district would be looking at. We just maintain that pressure in that situation until people could get more information if felt like they need it. And that could include an executive session that's pre-scheduled. I don't like to just throw those things out. I don't think it's wise. Let me just pause. Sheila, can you add or adjust my statements? Okay.
Just a general question, and you may know this better, you may not know. From what family leave through the state, it has to be a situation where they're still employed but not able to work kind of thing, or that is not unemployment.
It is not unemployment. It is, they are not getting paid by the district for whatever reason, unpaid leave, but they're not terminated.
But if they were still employed and today are using unpaid time and being paid through family, we are still covering benefits. Benefits get picked up by the district and family does not touch those.
You can still cover benefits if you choose to do that.
And then I won't even go into para because I don't know if it's worth it.
So, you know, I've got this line nuance here. It sounds like there's some additional options that haven't been pursued with this new rule. Is that
No, there's no options that have not been exhausted.
including the one?
Paragraph 3,
Yeah, the last.
page second to last.
We have, the only option we have right now, as we look at this hard thing of when does leave without pay shift into a space where you're not able to do the work that you were contracted to do in general. You can always make an agreement with that person how you're going to separate ways, which we can in that space say we would be glad to cover benefits. So that would be another option that we have explored with that individual and had that conversation. They have not expressed interest at this time in any other option. The one that they chose to express interest in was this, and they submitted a letter, and so.
And concerns with policy and coming back and how we're talking about fixing policies and where you come back on the scale may be addressed by the time that would be applicable.
You can answer that question.
So when you take long-term leave, you're essentially saying, I quit for a year or however long.
Mm-hmm.
If you enter into a resignation agreement with your employer, that would theoretically allow you to collect unemployment.
Not a lawyer, but theoretically.
Whereas a long-term leave, you're probably going to be denied.
Is that the same as family leave?
No, family.
As in family's hard because no one really understands family because it's so fresh.
It's only 12 weeks.
I mean, it sounds like there's options that need to be pursued, and I'm not super comfortable with pursuing.
point, I wouldn't feel it's a decision to support.
A long-term leave, because I think it, again, according to our attorneys, opens us up to litigation and puts the district at risk until it's fixed. So I'm happy to see that there are other options on the table, which I will not say aloud, nor do I think as a board member I should know about or be involved in necessarily. But it's out there now. So
May I present a way ahead? Let's vote on the one thing that's being presented to us, which is a long-term leave request. Then once that has been decided on, we can move in that direction if it's approved, or this direction if it's not approved. And I believe our staff have an additional option available once the long-term leave is exhausted, if we vote it down.
I understand the pause or this desire to get more info or wait a couple weeks or whatever it may be, but I don't think I could support a long-term leave request until the policies are fixed. I don't feel like we're opening ourselves up to legal exposure for whatever reason. So whether it's now or 2 weeks or a month or 6 weeks ago, I don't think so. I do think there are still options. I think we are a district that will continue to try to find ways to help.
Yeah, I agree with your path forward. I think that clearly that works. We should vote on what's before us versus the week.
Any questions or comments to clarify? A vote of yes would be in favor of supporting, and a vote of no would be deny the request.
That's my understanding, yes. Do we need him to say that a second time?
Those are all choices.
The Board of Education, those are your only two
Those
choices.
are only two choices. I would ask for a vote then.
Dr. Breckenridge Pettit?
Nay.
Dr. Hill?
Nay.
Mr. Hobbs?
Aye.
Ms. Lumberg?
Aye.
Mrs. Pascal?
Nay.
Ms. Schiffman?
Nay.
And Mr. Smith?
Nay. Okay.
Before you close it on, that doesn't mean we've not had a conversation. So I'll just take that piece in the puzzle and we'll keep on working with the individual to figure out how to keep on supporting them until we get through that. So.
Thank you. We think the board as a whole would appreciate that. Continue to support our people. Okay, so moving on, action item C, consider action on the usage of a snow day for March 14, 2024. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
I'll second.
David, anything, or you want the board
I'll
to
just
jump
make sure
straight
it's
in?
clear what's being asked. If you said yes, we didn't have extra funds or anything else to do base changes or anything else that we were trying to in the fall, and we're working with CDT and trying to figure out how to take care of people's best equipped. We definitely maxed that train out, and we had people were saying, what else can we do? What other creative ideas can we do to say thank you? One idea is thrown out is, can we use a snow day and offer staff an extra day off? We can't pay more, we offer an extra day off. That was brought back up. The team asked me to put it in front of you guys for a decision. If you voted yes, you'd be saying yes, use a snow day, which is built into the schedule. It is a hard thing when we talk about costs, right? Because if we built the whole budget, say the snowstorm got great tomorrow or tonight, 3:30 a.m., which Evelyn already told me isn't going to happen. But let's say it happened, and I actually tomorrow morning at 4:30 called a snow day, right? Those people would all be paid as per the budget. But a day of labor for us, I believe it's $83,000 approximately, $86,000 if you're trying to put a number onto that piece. That's what it would take for all staff. not just certified, but classified and stuff. So there's just some clarity, so ask questions away.
I have one statement. The words you just used were the cost of a day of labor for staff
Yes,
was $86,000.
yes.
You could rephrase that and say the cost to educate the students in this district is $86,000 per day.
Hmm.
That's
Obviously, there's a difference between our certified staff and classified staff and treatment of this day. Does it turn into like it's not PTO day, it's just kind of a canceled day. But I know we have classified people in particular that have varying schedules, and how would that affect somebody that typically works on a Thursday or Friday or however that would all work?
On a snow day, classified staff gets paid what they would normally be scheduled, and that's an entry that payroll does for all of our classified staff. The only issue with this ask that I would see for some of the classified, not all of them, is if they had off on Thursday for spring break, they would be required to come in on Friday to fulfill their contract. Whereas certified staff and paraprofessionals, nutrition staff don't work on Fridays.
We built in one snow day per year? How many?
We built in 2.
Okay, but we didn't get any.
We have not had to use any this year.
And did they roll over to the next year?
No.
Okay, so if you exceed 2 days, that's when you have to come back.
Yeah, then you have to work with the state to figure out or send your day. So if we had a third snow day for some crazy blizzard, which we haven't had to do during COVID, we had lots of remote days and everything. We did everything we could. That's another, the extreme example, the what if, we ran it and the state worked with us to try and address those things.
You know, I like the idea of finding some way to show staff appreciation, whether that's, some sort of, dinner or something that the board puts on for staff, or luncheon, or gift cards. To me, it's about the kids, and I would love to say, yeah, giving a day out is great, but there's a lot of kids that families rely on the kids going to school. There's a whole ripple effect when school is canceled. That's ripples outside this entire community. It's not just limited here. So people need to find daycare. And that's going to hit families the hardest who are least capable of having those support systems in place. Somebody like me, it's no big deal. But there's plenty of families in this district with a day off to them it's extreme hardship on their families. So I can't support it, but I'd like to find another way to support staff.
I'd like to echo that, Matt. I mean, I love a day off for my kids. It's great, but it's February 27th, and I don't think it's appropriate to even consider doing this to our community and our families and all of, for 1,000+ kids who some of whom eat at school, etc. I too would like to find some other way for sure, but this seems punitive to me.
I think we saw some of the effects with COVID, the children being out of class, and to choose to take a whole nother day away from them. Again, love to support teachers, give them that day off, but for the students to miss a day of education is, because so many of the days prior to spring break are wasted. I mean, I don't want to say wasted, but you lose that education time before and after, before Christmas and before spring break, all those days when you just don't have them there anyway. So if we were to do this, I would say choose one of those days, but I agree with, it's February. And so.
I agree with that sentiment, and I would say that there are some teachers that even if they had a one-day week would be extremely efficient in getting things done. But I think I have 4 children, and I know for a fact that it's rare that they're working hard and starting new chapters or whatever, doing much when they have just a short week, and purposely starting a short week. I think is inappropriate.
I think there are some other ways I would challenge all of us on many accounts to think outside that box. And that we can find some ways to support those teachers and give them what they deserve in many ways, but yeah, just.
Yeah, I would echo comments of finding ways to do it. I just don't think this is the right one. And as Matt said, Jen and everybody, this will affect a lot of families in a lot of ways pretty significantly compared to others that the kids that aren't going to be here aren't going to be here anyway. But the ones that need it will be there and rely on that lunch and everything else that goes with it. So, but I know we've talked about this a little bit more. And continuing to find ways for staff appreciation, I think, is important for us to continue on. So.
One was I think about it one more way too, is when it is a true snow day, many parents are stuck at home or they can't get to work either. So they're there with their parents building snowmen and enjoying that day with their kids. And it's not such a hardship as to just place on people.
Yeah, they're important.
Any other questions or comments? Ask for a vote.
Dr. Breckenridge Pettit. Dr. Hill. Mr. Hobbs.
Nay.
Ms. Lumberg. Mrs. Pascal.
Nay.
Ms. Schiffman.
Nay.
And Mr. Smith.
Nay. Okay, future business topics for future meetings. I think we've kind of lined that out best we could last meeting. We'll be back here in a couple weeks, March 12th. Mandy will connect with you to set date time for our agenda review, tentatively for March 26th. Hoping probably be around March 20th or so. We'll decide if we need that meeting or not. Probably will, based on all
We'll be on
that's
spring
going.
break
But
on the 20th. But yes,
Prior
We'll
to spring break.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll figure it all out, but keep it on your calendar. So, looking for a motion to adjourn. Okay, 8:35. I just look at my watch. I'm probably off. 25. Sorry, I went the wrong way. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. All of the confidential packets can come back to me and we'll shred them. David, are you off to turn off our thing? Yep. That's why they're, yeah, no, that's everything.